أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين الغر الميامين ولعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى حين نقل قول عيسى عليه الصلاة والسلام إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I congratulate you all. I congratulate the Imam of the time for this beautiful event that's happening right now and for this beautiful night. And indeed, Imam Muhammad bin Ali al-Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Even till this day when you go to his blessed shrine, so of course it's a blessed shrine of Imam Qadim and Imam Jawad. Even as of today you go there are two gates through which you can enter, right? There's one called Bab al-Qibla if you want to go. And usually the buses where they stop, they don't stop at Bab al-Qibla, they stop at Bab al-Murad. Now the Bab al-Murad is the title of none other than Muhammad bin Ali al-Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. And it is so beautiful when you reflect upon it. You know, we have Bab al-Hawaij, some like Abu Fadl al-Abbas is referred as Bab al-Hawaij. Even we're celebrating the birth anniversary of Ali al-Asghar, he is also referred as what? A Bab al-Hawaij. Likewise, we have Bab al-Murad, जहाँ से मुमनीन की मुरादें पूरी होती हों, उस ज़र को दर जवाद कहा जाता है, याद रखिएगा. So inshallah, with this spirit and with this honor, we would like to supplicate in the barakah of Allah Almighty and raise our hands by giving the wasila of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad and by giving specifically the wasila of Bab al-Murad Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam, that Ya Allah, we all have gathered here with supplications that we have regarding this world and the hereafter. Ya Allah, please fulfill all of those hajats. Ya Allah, we also remember the marhumin, the names that were displayed on the screen, and the marhumin of the believers that are sitting here, and the marhumin all over. Ya Allah, we ask you to forgive their sins. We ask you to, Ya Allah, to give them the proximity of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And as we remember the marhumin, we also remember the oppressed people around the world. We remember the people in Gaza, we remember the people in Lebanon, we remember the people in Parachanar, we remember the believers that are going through the struggles, that Ya Allah, elevate all of their difficulties, Ya Allah. Dispel the griefs, inshallah, and Ya Allah, we ask you further to hasten the reappearance of Imam Sahibul Zaman and make us among his companions and among his supporters, inshallah. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. When we gather here for occasions like this, sometimes we are celebrating and sometimes we are commemorating the Shahada or the death anniversary of the people, or where we are celebrating the Wiladat anniversary of the people. It's very profound. It's something which we do as a religious obligation. We just don't come here because we're being forced here to come, or we don't come here just because we want to come here and it's a symbolic way that we're coming here. It's more deeper, and it is something that is very prolific and very profound. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that when you come across the hadith of Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, there's a narrator whose name is Daud bin Sarhan. So Mawla says, Ya Daud, ablig mawali anni salam, that O Daud, convey our salutations, dispatch our salams to our followers, to our Shias. وَأَبْلِغْهُمْ, and also communicate them this message. رَحْمَ اللَّهُ عَبْدًا إِذَا اجْتَمَعَا مَعَ الْآخَرِ فَتَذَاكَرَ أَمْرَنَا. And also give them this beautiful message, that when you assemble, and when someone who sits with another believer, and when he remembers us, the third person is an angel, إِلَّا ثَالِثُهُمَا مَلِكٌ يَسْتَغْفِرُ لَهُمَا. And the third person is the angel that is continuously asking for the forgiveness and for the pardoning of the believers that are remembering al-Muhammad alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. وَمَا اجْتَمَعَانِ عَلَى ذِكْرِنَا إِلَّا يُبَاهِي اللَّهُ بِهِمَا عَلَى الْمَلَائِكَةِ. When there are two believers that have convened, and when they are remembering our merits, when they are remembering the tragedies that has befallen upon us, Allah rejoices proudly in front of the angels because of those two believers and because of the group of the believers that are remembering Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. فَإِذَا اجْتَمَعْتُمْ فَانْشَغِلُوا بِذِكْرِنَا. That whenever you assemble, the most important ibadah that you can do is to remember Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi salam. فَإِنَّا فِي اجْتِمَاعِكُمْ وَمُذَاكِرَتِكُمْ إِحْيَاءَ أَمْرَنَا. Because when you assemble and when you remember Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi salam, it fortifies, it strengthens our affairs. وَخَيْرُ النَّاسِ مِنْ بَعْدَنَا مَنْ دَعَا إِلَىٰ أَمْرِنَا وَذَاكَرَ إِلَيْنَا. And the best of the creation after us is one of those that call towards our affairs and remembers us. So like at the end of the day, after al-Muhammad alayhi salam, the people that call towards the message of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, the people that remember the merits of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, indeed those are the people that are chosen by Allah Almighty. Indeed those are the people that are handpicked by Allah Almighty. And as we remember the Imam that we are supposed to celebrate the anniversary of him, and it is none other than Imam Jawad. Imam, his name is Muhammad. Muhammad is a beautiful name. A lot of the Imam, they had Muhammad as their names. And the father is, of course, we all know, is Imam Rada alayhi salatu wassalam. We move on further. The mother of Imam, she is known as Sabika. Now, Sabika, or some say Subaika, depends how you pronounce, but the Fusha way or the correct pronunciation is Sabika. Also, Sheikh Saduq mentions that the name of the mother of the Imam was Khizran. Some of the riwayah says her name was Rihana, and some of the riwayah says her name was Durra, right? So you have different names, but that does not concern us because they all are referring to one personality. And there are certain reasons that the names of the wives of the Imam, especially for the later Imams, they were being known with different names because in old days they had one name and there were different titles and there were different nicknames that were given. But at the end of the day, a very respectful personality, and she belonged from a North African tribe, and a tribe that Sayyida Maria Salamullah alayha. Now Sayyida Maria is whom? She was the wife of the Prophet. And I'm saying wife in a loose term because if you go in a little bit more details, there are more nuance to this discussion. But let's just say it for the sake of the discussion that she was the wife of the Prophet. So Sayyida Maria is the one that Prophet, he had all his sons and Sayyida Fatima from Sayyida Khadija. He only had one son with another wife, and his name was Ibrahim, and it was from none other than Sayyida Maria al-Qibtiyya Salamullah alayha. Now, she was from the same tribe, the Coptic tribe, even as if you go today to Egypt, you still have Coptics there, and you still have those North African tribes that associate themselves with the ancient tribes of these Coptics. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this information is that there is an accusation upon the Shias of al-Muhammad alayhi salam that we disrespect the wives of the company or the wives of the Prophet. So our answer to this question is that we do not make a blanket statement upon the wives of the Prophet. There are certain wives of the Prophet that we don't agree with, whatever they have done. And certainly there are certain wives of the Prophet that were someone that we respect them and honor them a lot. You take the example of Sayyida Khadija Salaamullah alayha. Sayyida Khadija is someone that we all know about. Then you have the example of Sayyida Salama radiyallahu anha wa alayha salam, right? The same lady, the same personality, who has done so much for Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi salam. Likewise, you have Sayyida Maymuna Salamullahi alayha, a very respectful personality. Sayyida Maymuna bint Haris was who? She was the wife of the Prophet. And likewise, you have Sayyida Maria al-Qibtiyya, right? So these were the wives of the Prophet that we, Shias in general, we respect. Regarding the other wives of the Prophet, there were some wives of the Prophet that we don't have much opinion about, and there were certain wives of the Prophet. If you want to go into the history, we can inshallah talk a little bit more. But sufficient for us to understand that we do not have overgeneralization regarding the companions. We don't have overgeneralization regarding the wives of the Prophet. We go by the personality by personality. If there were certain personalities, they were loyal to Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, we respect them, we honor them, and we have nothing but praises for them. And people that were not respectful towards Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, at the end of the day, we're not too respectful towards them too. We move on further. So Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam was born in 195 Hijrah on 10th of Rajab. And he was martyred in 220 Hijrah. Now 220 Hijrah, so you can understand, he was only 25 years old when he was martyred. And he was martyred on 29th of the Qa'dah, or some riwayah says he was martyred in Dhul Hajj. Either way, in 220 Hijrah. Now from 195 Hijrah to 220 Hijrah, Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam was martyred in 203 Hijrah. So you can understand that the Imam, when he got the imamah, wrong wording, when he pronounced his imamah, because Imam is an Imam when he's born, right? The pronunciation of the imamah or the proclamation of the imamah is something else. So Imam proclaimed himself Imam when he was only 7 to 8 years of age. And this was the first experience that happened with Al-Muhammad alayhi salam, that someone so young became an Imam at so early age. And then later Imam Hadi alayhi salatu wasalam came into, he was also 8 years of age when he became the Imam. And then we have the prime example of Imam Sahibul Zama. When he became Imam, he was only 5 years of age. So I'm going to inshallah give a proof, and inshallah for my youngsters specifically, mere jawan unke liye main arz karunga, mere buzurg jante hain, but inshallah I'm going to quote some of the ayahs from the Quran that would be inshallah very easy for us to understand if someone would get the imamah or the prophethood at a very early age. Now you go to the wives of Imam Jawad. I want to give very basic information regarding Imam. So jisko diniyati information bolte hain, so that we can inshallah rekindle our memory, revive our memory. And likewise for the people that don't have much information, they can have inshallah the information too. One of the wives of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, her name is al-Fadl. al-Fadl was whom? She was the daughter of Ma'mun. Now she was someone that was responsible for killing and for poisoning Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. Right? So someone who lived with Imam, but she was never loyal to the Imam. And this act happened, there are different riwayas, the act happened in 215 Hijrah or 214 Hijrah. But the end of the day, jo mashhoor aap log Maulana Sahab ko sunte hain, whenever a nikah is happening, and you would see and you would hear them saying, Alhamdulillahi iqraran bi ni'mati, wa la ilaha illallah ikhlasun bi wahdaniyati, wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin sayyidi bariyati. You listen to it, that all praises belong to Allah Almighty, and I praise Allah Almighty in a state that I have the certitude that whatever blessings I have is from none other than Allah Almighty. And I proclaim that there is no one who deserves the divinity other than Allah Almighty. And indeed I say it with complete perfection and with a pure heart. Jab aap ye pronounce karte hain, this is the khutbah that Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam recited when he has his nikah with al-Fadl. The second wife of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam is Sayyida Samana Khatun. Right? So Sayyida Samana is that lady. She is the mother of Imam Hadi. She is the mother of Musa al-Mubarraka. Yani jitne bhi aap Radawi dekhte hain, jitne bhi aap Taqwi dekhte hain, all of them are from the progeny of Musa al-Mubarraka. Right? Likewise, he had another son, his name was Imran, another son, his name was Hussein. He had 4 daughters, one of them was Khadija, one of them was Kulthum, one of them was Fatima, and the most famous of them is Sayyidah Hakima. Sayyidah Hakima is the famous narrator whenever you go through the Mawlud of Imam Sahibul Zaman. The one who has quoted the Mawlud, Sheikh Sudu quotes in Kamaluddin, is none other than Sayyidah Hakima. Even you go today to Samarra, and when you go and when you take a peek inside the Dharih, you will see 4 graves, and one of the graves belonged to Sayyidah Hakima. Sayyidah Hakima was whom? She was the daughter of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. So all the sons and the daughters he had
were from Sayyidah Samana. Now, who is Sayyidah Samana? Imam Hadi alayhi salatu wassalam, when he wanted to introduce his mother, when he wanted to introduce the wife of Imam Jawad, he said, رَأَيْتُ أُمِّي عَارِفَةً بِحَقِّي. I saw my mother, she was someone that had the understanding. She was someone that had the knowledge about my rights and about my virtues. And who was she? لا يقربها شيطان مارد ولا يصيبها كيد جبار عنيد. She was someone that the disobedient shaitan, the rebellious shaitan, was not able to approach her, was not able to deceive her. She was someone that was protected by the divine safety of Allah Almighty. And at the end, Mawla says, وَهِيَ لَا تَتَخَلَّفُ عَنْ أُمَّهَاتِ الصِّدِّيقِينَ وَالصَّالِحِينَ. She was someone that did not lag behind when you compare her with the mothers of other truthful and with the mothers of the virtuous people. जिस तरीके से और दीगर माओं का किरदार था, मेरी माँ का भी वैसे ही अजीम किरदार था. So who is she? Sayyidah Samana, the lady that was responsible for the offspring of Imam Jawad and Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam. When you look into the political environment where Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam was living, Mamun was the caliph from 193 Hijrah to 218 Hijrah. He was the one that was ruling. And after him was Mu'tasim Billah. Now Mu'tasim Billah is that wretched leader, is that wretched ruler who is responsible for poisoning Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. And why did he did? Perhaps for the political reasons. Another reason was that the debate that took place between Yahya bin Aksam, between Imam Jawad, that was so profound, and it introduced the message of al-Muhammad alayhi salam so effectively that they did not have any other chara, they did not have any other solution but to poison Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. So you think about the political environment, you think about the family that he has, and also you also reflect upon the companions of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. Very famous companion, one of them is Ahmad bin Muhammad bin Abi Nasr al-Bazanti, one of them is Safwan bin Yahya, and the most famous of them, and reason I'm saying most famous of them is that when you go to Tehran, you go for his ziyarah too. His name is Shah Abdul Azim al-Hasani, when you go for diyara. And even when you see the riwayah that we have, it says anyone who visits the shrine of the grave of Abdul Azim al-Hasani, it is as if he has visited the grave of Abu Abdullah. We have the riwayah from al-Muhammad alayhi salam. He was the companion and he was the Hasani, Sadat Hasani mein se the, Syed. And he was the student of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. So alhamdulillah, Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam has given us a very rich history. In spite of only being 25 years of age, the things that he has done, the debates that has taken place are so gigantic, are so monumental that when you look into it, you have so much information that you can have. But he was only 25 years of age. We move on to further. A very important discussion that comes in. How can we pronounce someone as so young as Imam Jawad was, 7 to 8 years of age, someone who became Imam? Yani even if you look into the requirements of Imam al-Jama'ah, bhai kisko namaz jama'at lead karni hai, even then you have a special requirement that someone who is leading the Imam al-Jama'ah, he needs to be baligh, he needs to be an adult so that he can lead the Jama'ah. But how can we say someone like Imam Jawad, who was only 7 to 8 years of age, how can we pronounce him as an Imam even though he was very young? And this was the same question. This was not the first time this question came in. And by the way, Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam was responsible, see the Imamah, from 203 Hijrah from 228 Hijrah. 17 years he was the Imams of Shias of al-Muhammad. And you think the way he has confronted different isms and different kinds of people that were coming and they were trying to sabotage the message of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. He was there to defend the Shia beliefs against the Ghullat, against the people that claim divinity for al-Muhammad alayhi salam. He stood up against the fitna of Waqifa. Now, I don't want to go into a lot of details. Because iske liye, we have to go in a lot of details and a lot of hashia, and of course we are limited with the time. But there were so many fitnas and there were so many tribulations that Shias of al-Muhammad were going through. But if there was anyone that took them out of those situations, was Imam Jawad. Why was it so? How is it so? This was the question that was posted by the companions of Imam Rada and by the companions of Imam Jawad. The riwayah says, the narrator is Safwan, the same Safwan as I have mentioned, a very authentic narrator, a thiqa narrator, someone who was very trustworthy. He says that I came to meet Imam Rada alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I came to meet Imam Rada alayhi salatu wassalam, and then I had this conversation. I said, Ya Mawla'i ya Sayyidi, kunna nas'aluka qabla an yahab Allahu laka Aba Ja'far. That, oh my Mawla, oh my Master, we used to ask you, we used to inquire you before Allah bestowed you with Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. We used to ask you that would Allah would give you a progeny, would Allah would grant you a son that's going to lead after you and that's going to take care of the affairs of the ummah. You used to reply that Allah is going to give me a son, and indeed Allah has given you a son in form of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. فَقَرَّ عُيُونَنَا, and may Allah make him as apple of our eyes, and Allah has given us the joy and the bliss in the form of Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. فَلَا أَرَانَ اللَّهَ يَوْمَكَ, may Allah, God forbid, we don't see you passing away, we don't see your demise, but if something happens to you, man huwa al-imam ba'dak, who is going to be the leader, who is going to be the imam after you? فَأَشَارَ بِيَدِهِ إِلَىٰ أَبِي جَعْفَرَ وَهُوَ قَائِمٌ بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. Imam Rada alayhi salatu wassalam directed the people that were there to question him, and he directed them towards Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. And Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam was only 3 years of age, and he was sitting in front of Imam Rada alayhi salatu wassalam. When Imam Rada presented Imam Jawad as the Imam, they said, جُعِلْتُ فِدَاكَ هَذَا ابْنُ ثَلَاث سِنِينَ. How is it possible, Mawla, that he is going to lead us when he is only 3 years of age, and maximum he's going to be 7 or 8 when you are going to pass away? How is it possible for him to lead us? Then Mawla gave the example of Prophet Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. He said, وَمَا يَضُرُّهُ ذَلِكَ وَقَدْ أَقَامَ عِيسَى بِالْحُجَّةِ وَهُوَ أَقَلَّ مِنْ ثَلَاثَ سِنِينَ. That why is it something that you cannot understand? Even when Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, he declared his prophethood, he was someone who was less than 3 years of age. If Isa alayhi salatu wasalam can be the hujjah, he can be the authority, he can be the proof of Allah Almighty, he can be the messenger of Allah Almighty, and he can be a prophet of Allah Almighty at so early age, then why Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam cannot be the Imam at this early age? And perhaps Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam was referring to that passage of the Quran that says, when the Israelites came in and when they were accusing Sayyidah Maryam of something very big, and when they came in to meet Sayyidah Maryam did not reply to them by using her speech. The ayat says, قَالُوا كَيْفَ, and she pointed towards Isa alayhi salatu wasalam. At that moment they said, قَالُوا كَيْفَ نُكَلِّمُ مَنْ كَانَ فِي الْمَهْدِ صَبِيًّا. The Israelite says that how can we have conversation with someone who is a child in a great cradle? How can we have the conversation with someone जो इतना छोटा बच्चा हो कि he is himself in need of his mother and other people? How can we have a conversation with him? At that moment, when Sayyidah Maryam alayha salatu wasalam was accused, and even Prophet Isa was being accused, at that moment Allah gave the power to Hazrat Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, and he declared his prophethood, and he says, قال إني عبد الله آتاني الكتاب وجعلني نبيا وَجَعَلَنِي مُبَارَكًا أَيْنَمَا كُنْتُ وَأَوْصَانِي بِالصَّلَاةِ وَالزَّكَاةِ مَا دُمْتُ حَيًّا. Allah has made me, I am indeed the servant of Allah. Allah has given me the prophethood. Allah has given me the messengerhood. Allah has given me the gospel. Allah has given me the book. Indeed, Allah has blessed me wherever I go, and Allah has commanded me and instructed me that I pray and I give charity till the time I live. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَتِي وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْنِي جَبَّارًا شَقِيًّا. Allah also instructed me to do righteousness with my mother. And indeed Allah has not created me a tyrant, wicked person. وَالسَّلَامُ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. Salutations and peace and salam be upon me the day I was born, and the day I would die, and the day Allah is going to resurrect me again. ذَلِكَ عِيسَى ibn Maryam قَوْلَ الْحَقِّ الَّذِي فِيهِ يَمْتُرُونَ. Indeed, this is Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, the word of the truth about which these people are differing. So when even Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, he proclaimed his nabuwah, it was only a few days after he was born. If he can be a messenger, if he can be a prophet, if he can be the hujjat of Allah Almighty on this earth at such an early age, then of course Hadrat Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam is also the Imam at this early age. And again, you refer back to some of the titles that are being given to Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. 25 saal ki umar to 25 years of age is very limited. And even then, you come across some of the titles, some of the alqab of Imam Jawad. Jawad is very famous. Jawad Sakhi, wo bhi Sakhi nahi. Mawla is called Jawad, not Jawid. Difference. Jawid means someone who gives at once, who gives a choice. Jawad is someone who gives excessively. Difference. Jawad ko kehte hain sigha mubaligha. Jawad is someone who gives excessively, who gives excessive charity. And that's why you have a beautiful saying from Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. It says, ثَلَاثٌ تَجْتَلِبُ بِهِنَّ الْمَوَدَّةَ. If you have these three qualities, you are able to achieve the love and affection of the people. What are those three qualities? यानी लोगों के दरमियान अगर तुम्हें अपनी इज्जत को बढ़ाना हो, अच्छा इधर लोगों से मुराद अच्छे लोगों की बात हो रही है, अच्छे लोगों के दरमियान अगर अपनी इज्जत को बढ़ाना हो, if you want to elevate your status in front of them, a spiritual status, how can you do that? There are three qualities that you need to have. This is from Imam Jawad. Al-mu'asatu fil shiddati wal-insafu fil mu'ashirati wal-intawa'u ala qalbi salim. There are three qualities that you need to have so that you can fetch the love of the people. The first quality is what? That you are fair and you have the justice when you're dealing with the people. First quality. The second quality is that you are someone who has a pure and a transparent heart, someone who has cleaned himself spiritually to such a degree that Allah has given him the heart of the certitude, qalb salim. And the third quality that someone needs to have is that in spite of the difficult moments that they're going through, they still do charity in the most difficult of the moments. If you have the money and if you did the charity, it's thawab and it's very nice action that you did. But it will not have that effectiveness when you compare it to someone who is doing charity, someone who is sacrificing and going against his own needs and trying to take care of the needs of the others when he is in need himself. जो मुश्किलात में देता है और जो मुश्किलात में लोगों की मदद करता है उसको जवाद कहा जाता है, याद रखिएगा. Sometimes we have this feeling, अल्लाह ने दिया है तो देंगे, जब अल्लाह ने नहीं दिया है तो हाथ को रोक लेंगे. अच्छा, I'm not saying it's exclusively to you. I'm involved in this action too. When Allah gives, it's easy for me to do the charity. लेकिन जब हालात टाइट हों, जब थोड़ा बजट आके पीछे हो जाए, खुदावंद मुताल कहता है ऐसे मौके पर मुझसे तिजारत करके देखो. Help out the people. And this is the teaching of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi wasallam. Haven't you come across so many examples? Sometimes you reflect upon the example of Karbala too. Imam had limited water. And so limited water, Imam was going through the dry plains. Kitni garmi thi. And Imam met the army of Hur. There were around 1,000 people. अगर इमाम सिर्फ पानी ना देते तो वो प्यास के मारे हलाक हो जाते. Limited water. But in spite of the limited water, Imam gave them the water, not only them, but also to the animals and also to everyone that needed the water. यानी जो मुश्किलात में भी चैरिटी करते हैं उसके आला मिज़दाक को आले मोहम्मद कहा जाता है, याद रखिएगा. That's why Imam is called what? Jawad. The second title he has is Taqi. Taqi, as we say in Indo-Pak culture, Imam Taqi. Taqi was someone who was extremely pious, someone who was extremely God-fearing, someone who manifested how to fear Allah Almighty in spite of his very young age. You know, Imam Jawad ko kehna chahiye, he was a role model for the youth here. Every Imam is the role model. But you can relate the most to Imam Jawad and Imam Askari alayhi salatu wassalam. The Imam Jawad, when he passed away, he was only 25. When Imam Askari passed away, he was only 28 years of age. Someone that you can relate very nicely. कि जब मौला ने इस जवानी में खुदावंद मुताल के इतने करीब थे तो खुदावंद मुताल ने हम सब के लिए मौका छोड़ा हुआ है. So Taqi, and the third title, अपने बाबा अपने दादा इमाम अली की तरह, मौला was also called Murtada. Mawla was also called Muntajab. Murtada Muntajab means what? Someone who is selected by the divine sight of Allah Almighty. Mawla was also called what? Qani'. Qani' is someone who, in spite of all the difficult moments that he is going through, he is extremely grateful to Allah Almighty. जो मुश्किलात में भी खुदावंद मुताल को याद करते हैं, और क्या याद करते हैं, उन्हें आले मोहम्मद कहा जाता है. That's why I always refer, अभी हज़रत अली असगर का जिक्र आ रहा था, and inshallah we're going to end with this. You know when मौला के, when Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salatu wassalam was demanding the water, मसाइब नहीं पढ़ा, मैं सिर्फ एक जुमला बताना चाह रहा हूँ आपको. बताना मैं चाह रहा हूँ, जो मुश्किलात में भी ये नारा लगाते हैं, नारा नहीं लगाते हैं बल्कि करके दिखाते हैं. रज़न बिक़ज़ाइही व तस्लीमन लिअम्रिही. Wallah, whatever befell upon us, we were extremely satisfied because you were the one that is watching us. तो रवायत के जुमले, जब हज़रत अली असगर को तीर आके लगता है, जब तीर आके लगता है तो तीर को निकालते हैं, और तीर को निकालने के बाद खून की गर्मी महसूस होती है, ऐसा ही है. At that moment Abu Abdullah says, हव्वना अलैया मा नज़ल बिह इन्नहु बि'ैनिका या अरहमर राहिमीन. Oh Allah, whatever befell upon Hussein, everything become very easy because I know you are watching us. तो जो मुश्किलात में भी खुदावंद मुताल से कुर्बत देते हैं, करीब करते हैं, उन्हें सादात आले मोहम्मद कहा जाता है. ऐसे ही. Lastly, we remember, अब दुआ के लिए हाथ बढ़ाते हैं, inshallah we're done, that even the dua that you have for the month of Rajab from Imam Sahib al-Zaman ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-sharif, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. It says, Allahumma inni as'aluka bimawludaini fi Rajabin. Oh Allah, I ask you, I plead you, I invoke you by the blessed mediation of two blessed people that were born in month of Rajab. Muhammad bin Ali al-Thani wa Ali ibn Muhammad al-Muntajab. Who are those two Imam? Imam Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam and Imam Hadi alayhi salatu wassalam. You know, इसमें महीने में मौला की भी विलादत है और भी, लेकिन यहाँ इख्तिसास बताया जा रहा है, शशियों को मुतवज्जे किया जा रहा हो. देखो, मौलाए कायनात की विलादत मनाई जाती है और बड़े ज़ोर और शोर से मनाई जाती है, लेकिन जब मौला की विलादत मना रहे हो तो इन इमामों को मत भूलना. समझ रहे हैं? I'm just thinking that perhaps this was the message. और फिर क्या आप दुआ मांगते हैं? इन्नी अतक़र्रबु बिहिमा इलैका खैरुल क़ुरूब. That, oh Allah, I want your proximity, I want your nearness, I want your taqarrub, but I understand I cannot get your taqarrub unless or until I have the proximity of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad alayhi wassalam. So I seek your proximity, Ya Allah, by the blessed wasila of Imam Jawad and Imam Hadi alayhim assalam. तो हम भी अपने हाथों को बुलंद करते हैं कि Allahumma inna nas'aluka बिहक़्क़ि मौलुदैन Muhammad bin Ali wa Ali ibn Muhammad. खुदावंद मुताल तेरी बारगाह में दुआ करते हैं. We all have gathered here, Ya Allah, and one of the most important duas that you all need to keep in your mind And we always say that, Ya Allah, make us among the companions of Imam Sahibul Zaman. But that is part one. The part two is that, Ya Allah, not only make us as the companions, but खुदावंद मुताल इतनी क़ुव्वत देना कि या अल्लाह कि हम अपनी जान भी दें तो खुदावंद मुताल इमाम साहिबुल ज़मा के सामने अपनी जान को पेश करें. And Ya Allah, we further ask you, very important dua, we all need to be very mindful. जब ये दुआ अदीला भी आपको दी गई है, that Ya Allah, when we are leaving this world, allow us to leave this world in the state of iman and faith, inshallah. And Ya Allah, Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam, imagine Imam Rada alayhi salatu wasalam was born in 148 Hijrah. Aulad kab mili hai? And 195 Hijrah. What was the age of Imam? 47 years of age. People would come and criticize Imam Rada that you are not the righteous Imam because you don't have a son. Imagine. तो अब सोचें कि इमाम को कितनी खुशी मिली थी जब इमाम जवाद पैदा हुए थे. ऐसा ही है, जब भी इमाम के मौलूद को शियों के लिए सबसे बड़ी बरकत करार दिया जाता है. तो अब इमाम का वास्ता देते हैं. कितने लोग हैं कि खुदावंद मुताल उनके पास औलाद नहीं है. खुदावंद मुताल जिन जिन के पास औलाद नहीं है, ये ख़ास दुआ मैं नहीं करता लेकिन अभी कर रहा हूँ इमाम जवाद के वास्ते, कि खुदावंद मुताल जो साहिब औलाद नहीं, इमाम जवाद का वास्ता देते हैं, उन्हें औलाद अता फरमा. वसल्लल्लाहु अला मुहम्मद व आलिहि त्ताहिरीन.